Pierre Poilievre keeps bashing lobbyists and saying that they're utterly useless, but, they're still attending his fundraisers, and the person who's in charge of his campaign was a lobbyist for Loblaws, but there's also a few other connections that we should be talking about. I took some notes. I did some research. 6 of the 20 members of the Conservative National Council are lobbyists with ties to oil, gas, tobacco, pharmaceuticals, mining, nuclear, big banks, and Rumble, which is an alt-right version of YouTube, including Aaron Shui, who is connected to Elon Musk's Twitter, Anthony Matar, who is connected to oil, gas, mining, pharma, and Rumble, Matthew Conway, who has connections to Facebook and Enbridge, Heather Feldbush, a lobbyist who has connections to Tourmaline Oil Company and the Canadian Gas Association, Stephen Barber, who is an active lobbyist for the 5 biggest oil and gas companies in Canada under the Pathways Alliance, and Amber Ruddy, who is a big pharma and big oil lobbyist for Tourmaline Oil and Cenovus. But that's not all, because as I said, Jenny Byrne, who is Pierre's ex-girlfriend and his top advisor, is a lobbyist, and one of her major clients is Loblaws. Although she created a new company to step away from that, even though that new company still operates out of the same building and seems to be connected to her old company. And then there's Jenny Roth, the former head of comms for Pierre's leadership campaign. She advised Pierre to prioritize defunding the CBC and helped him to create the Axe the Tax slogan. She was also on a podcast where she said that Canadian Conservatives should model themselves after Ron DeSantis. And she's a lobbyist for mining and tobacco, oil and gas, Rumble, etc. And also Ian Todd, Pierre's chief of staff, was a lobbyist for Comcast and the Canada Pipe Company, with his company also lobbying for Enbridge and Facebook. Then there's also Hendrik Brackle, the previous economic advisor and director of policy and parliamentary advisor to the Conservative Party, who is now a lobbyist for many, including mining, oil, nuclear, and forestry. And then the Conservative campaign chair, John Baird, who worked at a company that lobbies for Shell. And you know what the craziest part about this is? Grassroots Conservatives were pushing really, really hard to ban lobbyists from the Conservative National Council. The members who built the party said they did not want lobbyists involved. Instead, Pierre and his Conservatives made sure to squash that motion. So if lobbyists are utterly useless, why does Pierre surround himself with lobbyists? I guess you could say that Pierre and his campaign are, in his own words, utterly useless.